New England Patriots 3-round 2025 mock draft. Yes, you heard that right. 2025. It's pretty early to be getting into a 2025 mock draft. The 2024 season hasn't even kicked off yet. But I wanted to take a look at some teams at the bottom of the league according to Super Bowl odds and kind of look at what could happen for them in 2024 and moving into 2025, get an early look for some of those fans that might be looking at more of a long-term view for their football team, for their favorite franchise moving forward. So New England Patriots are up. Yesterday we looked at the Carolina Panthers, who are currently projected with the number one pick according to Super Bowl odds. The Patriots have the second worst Super Bowl odds according to many betting websites. So we're going to go with the Patriots here and slot them in with the second overall pick. It's a 3-round mock draft. Looking at the Patriots, they're in year one post Bill Belichick right now. They haven't completely pivoted and changed their identity because Gerard Mayo is still there. Longtime New England Patriots player and then coach. He's now their head coach, right? They insert Drake May at quarterback, who they're able to land in the 2024 NFL draft with the third overall pick. I think that they got a steal with Drake May at 3. I think he should have been the second quarterback off the board. I think that the argument between Drake May and Caleb Williams was a legitimate one, whereas Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, should have been a first-round pick, but probably not in the same tier as a Drake May. That's just how I evaluated those quarterbacks. Did a lot of work with the quarterback position last year. I did not think Jaden Daniels was of the same tier as Drake May, so I think the Patriots got themselves a steal there. You add receivers to the group, two guys I loved in Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, and I think that they have skill sets where they're going to be able to win down the field. They're going to be able to make plays on the ball. Drake May, he's never been gun shy. He's going to be able to deliver the ball down the field. I think Polk and Baker will be able to make plays for him, and they've got some veterans in that regard as well. I do still want to see improvements across the offensive line. You've got a few guys, a couple guys to feel good about, but overall, I think you can see a lot of improvement on the offensive line still. They did add some young pieces in the draft. I still want some more blue chip younger players up front. The defense looks like it's in a great spot again overall, in my opinion. They will be sound. They will be well coached. They are talented. So I think that defensively, you're still in a very good place. I think you could continue to add some more youth up front. Particularly kind of defensive end, edge type players. You do have Keon White, who I think is headed towards being a very good player. Obviously, you have some veterans who are extremely talented, but up there in age. When you talk about Matthew Judon and some of the other guys, I think maybe you could continue to add to that pass catching room. You could get younger at tight end. The future at tight end outside of Jaheim Bell, a little murky in terms of guys you have that are expected to make a big impact this year, right? You have Austin Hooper, who you brought in. Obviously, Hunter Henry is still a very good tight end, but both those guys up there in age. I think this Patriots team will be competitive in 2024. Not playoff competitive, but like week to week. I think they're going to compete. I think that Drake May, he will have some ups and downs as a rookie. Again, not a great offensive line, not the best group of skill position talent at receiver. I do think Ramondre Stevenson is a very good back, and they inked him to a new deal. But I actually would be surprised if the New England Patriots end up with the second overall pick. I think they'll end up outside of the top 5, quite frankly, because I think the defense is going to be very good. I think Drake May and this group of players around him will do enough to stay competitive with that sort of defense that they're going to be in a lot of games and that they're going to beat some teams that don't expect to lose to them, quite frankly. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this 3-round mock draft. They are slotted in at number 2 just based on Super Bowl odds right now. And look, if you are the New England Patriots, will you be disappointed if you finish with the second worst record in the NFL? Yes, but that presents a lot of opportunity in the draft as well. And I think landing a guy like offensive tackle Will Campbell out of LSU, who is still an extremely young prospect, someone who has upward trajectory for sure, a guy that maybe doesn't have very great length. I think it's more adequate to average than great, but everything else about his game when it comes to his strength, quickness, athleticism, agility, the demeanor that he plays the game with, I think Will Campbell has all the makings of a really, really good offensive tackle or offensive guard. So I think you get excited about the versatility that he could potentially bring to the football field. But I definitely think you slot him in as a starting tackle from day one. And if he seems to have some struggles, that maybe you could pivot and play him at guard as the rain and storm continues to come down here. Hopefully we don't lose power. At 34, which is the Patriots' second slotted pick here in the second round, defensive lineman Landon Jackson makes a lot of sense to me. He has some similar traits to a Keion White in that he is massive. He is a huge defensive end prospect that has great athleticism, 6'7", 280 pounds, but the nimbleness that he plays with and the flexibility that he has within his frame throughout his frame is really shocking for someone his size. I think he's able to bend much better than you would expect for someone that large. And he's a guy that knows how to play the run already, can set the edge at a high level. I think you've seen some pass rush development. I think you'll continue to see that. But he's a guy that, again, rare flexibility to flatten around the arc at his size. I think Landon Jackson would make a lot of sense for the New England Patriots in that regard, and potentially be a player that could play opposite Keion White, learn from Matthew Judon, and end up having the Patriots as, again, one of the stronger defensive fronts for years to come. Obviously, you have Christian Barmore and you have some other talented guys up front. So I think Landon Jackson would be a nice piece as well. And then at 66, I have tight end Luke Lachey out of Iowa. Yes, another Iowa tight end. And Murray's trying to get into the party here. She does not like the rain. But Luke Lachey, Iowa tight end, missed most of the 2023 season with injury, but this is another really talented player at the tight end position out of Iowa. He's got great size, great athleticism for his size, more nimbleness. That's one thing I continue to talk about with all three of these players, despite being really big, lumbering type guys at their position. Like Will Campbell, 320 pounds, he moves like a 300-pounder. And you can say the same thing about Landon Jackson at 280 pounds. He moves like a 250-pound edge player at times. And then looking at Luke Lachey, another big tight end, he moves like a much smaller player. He's got quick feet. He's able to cut on a dime as a route runner. He's got extremely strong hands. He was very productive in 2022 as a young player at Iowa. I think that he has the chance to, if you're looking at Iowa tight ends, be the next guy that ends up being a quality starter in the NFL, and there's just such a long list of guys out of that school. You just look back to last year with Sam Laporta, but you've got George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, you've got Noah Fant. There are so many good tight ends out of the University of Iowa. The list goes on and on. I think Luke Lachey could be the next guy in line to enter the NFL. Day 2 pick. I definitely don't think he's going to be a sleeper like some of the others have, certainly like George Kittle was. But I think he could come in, be a day 2 pick, compete for reps early, and eventually have a really nice complementary duo of tight ends down the road with Lachey and Jaheim Bell, who I'm a little bit higher on than a lot of folks were in the draft. I think Jaheim Bell can certainly be an offensive weapon. I think Lachey can be more of your traditional tight end. But I would like this 3-round start to the NFL draft for the Patriots quite a bit, able to land a stalwart offensive lineman for the present and the future, someone I think has tremendous growth potential and is already playing at a high level technically in Will Campbell out of LSU. Then at 34, Landon Jackson, one of the freakiest potential prospects in this class at defensive line. And then at 66, tight end Luke Lachey out of Iowa. If you're a Patriots fan, would love to know what y'all think. Drop a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please consider liking and subscribing. Really helps out what I'm doing here. Y'all have a good one.